All right, I have a question for everyone. How many times are you watching Cars 1 this year? Of course, it is the 20th anniversary of the first movie, and I don't know about you guys, but I am getting the urge to watch Cars. It's sneaking up on me, doing some of these nostalgic Cars 1 character videos. We have Marilyn a few months ago, Donna Pitts, a bunch of others. Here today we have Jonathan Wrenchworths. And every time I watch the movie, I feel like I learn something new. I see something I didn't see before because the backgrounds are just ripe with so many cool things. Like literally, it took me years to even see that Leroy Traffic slammed his mattress down alongside all the trucks at the truck stop. I bet some of you guys didn't even know that either. But yeah, let me know in the comments below, how many times are you rewatching the movie this year? Are you waiting until closer to the actual date in June? Is it just going to be a one-time thing for you? I'm really excited about it. I'm very happy it's the 20th anniversary. I'm glad we made it. I'm glad we're all still here and that the hobby hasn't died out, at least not yet. But we're going to make sure that doesn't happen by reviewing a lot of Cars 1 nostalgia characters this year. Today, Jonathan Wrenchworths, the Thailand variant. It's come out a couple times over the last few years. It's a great way to review some of these characters by also, tackling something new with the Thailand variant. I just did Donna Pitts. I'll leave that video in the description below and card session pop-up. Jonathan came out of a couple cases in 2025, but that wasn't his first time from Thailand. His first time altogether was back in 2010 in the Final Lap collection as a single with this very artwork. So it's cool to see the 15-year difference. As we talked about in the Donna Pitts video, as we've talked about in pretty much all of the Rust-eze tent characters, when they come out in Thailand, whether it be Fred, Donna, Andy Gearsdale, they're usually better than their Chinese counterparts. So I'm pretty excited to see how Jonathan stacks up here against his Chinese counterpart. I always wanted them to do like a shiny bumper version of Jonathan. It's a very easy custom to do. I've seen people attempt it in the past, and that would have been nice, but no, we got the rusty bumper. Fine by me. Makes for a more direct comparison. But yeah, I could have seen them doing that actually. On the back, you have some Cars 1 characters. Slim Hood is just kind of infiltrating the Cars 1 group, even though he's not in Cars 1. And this is a perfect opener here with a cracked blister. He's already trying to bust his way out. I don't blame you. Let's officially liberate him. There is Jonathan in Cars 1. We never actually see the front of him, just the back. And so I've always found it strange that Disney, Pixar, and Mattel chose to latch onto that character, obviously animate him from the front, which we see on the card art, and release him many times over the last 15 years. I mean, you look back to those Final Lap collection cars, whether it be Polly Puddle Jumper, Skip Richter, Milo, Johnny, Jamie, J Limo, Human, Duff Rex, a good amount of them never saw the light of day again. If they got a lenticular release that same year, cool, but never to be seen again. Jonathan and Donna Pitts, who we talked about, got lucky because they came back in 2013. Then they came back shortly after Cars 3 came out. Now they're back in 2025. So they've had like 4 releases each. You do have Polly Puddle Jumper who comes back in a 7-pack, I think it was. But, Duff Rex and J Limo, Johnny Jamer, they never saw any sort of release after 2010. And they actually had a little bit more of, I don't even want to say a part. I mean, I guess you could say J Limo did with his speaking lines, but you just don't even see the front of Jonathan Wrenchworth. So it's like, why him out of everyone? Like, there are characters they never even released at all that have quote unquote more of a screen share and more screen time than Jonathan. But hey, I'm not complaining. He's pretty iconic at this point, and he is his own unique model. There isn't any other car that shares it, which was also the case with Donna Pitts and is pretty much the case with most of these Rust-eze cars. There is a couple that are similar to Michael. Circus Sedan's the same as Andy Gearsdale, but everyone else is pretty unique, which I appreciate. And man, I would love some more Rust-eze 10 cars. Just bring them on. Jonathan, technically he's not in attendance, or maybe he's just not seen. Maybe he was the actor for the commercial and he got invited to the tent. Who knows? But it is time to do the comparison. And wow, some major differences here right off the bat. The color has gone from more of a like marshy, swampy green, a lighter green, to a darker, kind of washed out green. I think that looks better. I think it looks more akin to the rusty aesthetic that they're going for. Now, both cases here, the eyes are plastic plates. This is a plastic bumper, though, that has now become a part of the main metal body. Now, I think the bumper on the back is a part of the main metal body. So you do upgrade in terms of segmentation a little bit here. He's a little bit more of a unibody. The windows are also a part of the main metal body now, whereas before those were plastic inserted from the interior, but the eyes are still a plastic plate there. They added the eyeliner along the eyelid there, which I think looks great. I think it adds some personality to him, even though, again, we don't see how he looks. So, Mattel is full liberty to do what they want with him. So I'm totally fine with, really whatever. But I think it looks better, relative to the original Chinese version. I also think he's looking a little bit more to his right side. This is a little bit more dead center. So I actually like, the eyes seem closer together. It's actually a little bit more of a different expression than I feel like people have given it credit for. The mouths always just kind of been like a S-shaped squiggly. It's a little thinner. If we could focus in here. Yeah, I think the mouth looks better. The bumper overall looks better because it's not plastic. The grill maybe doesn't look quite as good. The slats aren't as defined, but it doesn't look as clean, which probably makes more sense. And as with a lot of these like weathered, rusty cars, there are going to be some slight differences in the pattern, which I like. But yeah, the color is just drastically different here. Like some of these splotches are in like a light blue. Here they're like in yellow. So man, I'm a big fan of this variant so far. This might penetrate the top 10 in terms of Thailand variants. Like right up there with Flipped Over. There are some other ones that are escaping my mind right now. I like Flipped Over because of the expression. Donna, Andy. Oh, I think Fred, I always said, was like one of the best Thailand variants. I definitely stand by that. Now, the wheels got a little weird here. They're like unusually small. I don't know why they got smaller. You could definitely see that the diameter there is smaller. They're probably the same width, but definitely smaller tires overall. And so they do look a little strange because there's so much black space surrounding it. And I feel like the wheel is also disproportionately large compared to the wall of the tire. So it's throwing me off. He almost kind of looks like a rail car. Like these look like train wheels on a train car. So that's probably the only problem that I'm going to foresee with Jonathan. The handlebars on the doors don't really look painted. It's also a little bit of a problem. They should be silver, like the silver stripe going down the side of him. So we're running into a couple problems here, but I like the windows better, even though they look a little staticky. I just think that they fit the rusty vibe more. Yeah, definitely, that is some static on that TV. It's not even a thing anymore. Static, does that even exist? Is there anything capable of creating static anymore? Now, I like the license plate because that's really the only way that Pixar was able to convey anything about this character. Because, again, we just see the back and it's evil with an E on the end. And an extra L. Wait a second. I think we're missing a character. So E-V-I-L-L-E. This looks like E-V-I-L-E. So we're missing a character. I don't even, that is insanely blurry. And again, I guess maybe he's gotten worse. Maybe this Jonathan that we're looking at is like canon to 2025. Because he's gotten worse in terms of his condition. The state of rust that he is in, that his body is in. The bumper here on the back The Rust-eze clearly didn't work because it is way browner, way rustier, way darker. Like, that is insanely different. The taillights also have seemed to rusted out. It's like they were cracked, like the plastic or the glass around the taillights were broken, and now it just completely rusted out. There's like no taillights presence at all. That's actually crazy. You can see how much dirtier and grimier he's gotten around the windows and all that, but the license plate is a little bit of a problem for me just because it is so clear in the movie what it says, and the Chinese version here executes that to perfection. But the Thailand version, not only is blurry as hell, but it's also missing a leather. And yeah, that just can't really fly. I don't mind the rusty taillights, even though I don't think that's super accurate. The bumper looks fine to me, though. The wheels also are a little weird. I've always wondered what this black splotch is. A lot of cars actually have this, especially from Cars 1. But I've never quite understood what it is. I'm sure some people could help me out. But yeah, there's this massive black splotch on him. And it seems like it kind of got bigger and then merged more with that bar there. Yeah, so I'm a little torn with this guy. Let's see when this guy was made here. So the 271st day of 2010. Yeah, he was a little later in 2010 than Donna, who was in like the third or fourth case, I think, of Final Lap. This Jonathan was produced during the 48th week of 2024, because again, this was an early 2025 release, but not his first time from Thailand, not his first time even on Red Riders. Yeah, I don't know. The wheels look off to me. I think the expression's great. I think the color of him overall is great. Side view mirrors look fine. Yeah, I don't know. It's almost like a tie between which one's better. I mean, they're just pretty much, they come out equal when you factor in holistically all the pros and cons. It's like, all right, well, the color is better, the expression's better, the front bumper is now a part of the main metal body. But the wheels look weird, which, Donna, I didn't quite like her wheels either on the Thailand version. I feel like, and they are very similar here. Actually, they're more similar to Jonathan's older wheels. I felt like the Chinese version here on the left had better wheels than the Thailand version. And that seems to hold true even more so with Jonathan because how small they are. Like, what are we doing? And then you get to the license plate, and it's just like, oh no, that's no bueno. That is no bueno for me in my book. But overall, it's a solid variant. I think it's a strong release from Mattel, and I'm happy that they've kept some of these nostalgic Cars 1 characters around, even if they obviously didn't have much screen time. Now, I do have a couple cars that are similar to him, even though he is his own unique model. No one else encroaches upon his territory. You have Vandenker here from Cars 3, who's a much bigger sedan, but he's also a little rusty. He's also green. So I thought, why not bring him out for some laps and gigs? Similarly, but not so similar, is Todd Crash from the Cars 3 Demolition Derby. Now, he's just a coupe, just, two-door, but also rusty. What about Ito-san? Another sedan, pretty typical. Does kind of have the curb feelers there, though, which is a very unique thing. Ito-san, what a guy. What a guy. What about Brad Windmiller? Another sedan, just a little bit of a different shape here. Now, Vladimir Trunkov. Now he's infiltrating my mind. Now, Brad Windmiller is back for 2026. So I could potentially do a new China review of him, which would kind of continue my Cars 1 nostalgia kick. See, he has the black splotch there. Guys, I feel like someone probably told me in the past, but just remind me what that is, why that's there. Andy Gearsdale has it too. Now, Andy, this is the Chinese version of him. I thought the Thailand version of Andy was definitely better than the original Chinese version. Reviewed him when he first came out. I think that was 2022. If I'm not mistaken. I could very well be mistaken, though. Maybe it was 2023. I did show off Vern in comparison to Donna Pitts. I think he's definitely more similar to Donna than Jonathan here. But yeah, Donna and Jonathan have been tied at the hip for a while. You know, both released in 2010, both in 2013, both in 23, and both in 25. 23 also saw, you know, Jay Schuster come back. I think that must have been when Andy Gearsdale was out then. I think that adds up. When they do the Red Riders every single year, it gets very difficult to delineate in my mind. And then here you have Milo's, another one and done in the 2010 final lap. So yeah, I mean, I don't understand, like, why did they choose Jonathan and Donna and some of those others to get released way more than some of these other ones who never came back. I would love to see Milo again. And that's kind of what I thought we would be headed toward with 2026. You know, maybe there weren't going to be a ton of new releases, but hey, there very well could be a lot of re-releases of Cars 1 characters that we haven't seen in forever, like Jay Limo. Now, I do think we're getting that with Dale Earnhardt Jr. in a way, but that seems to kind of be it. I think, you know, some of these other ones would be really awesome to see back, especially the, you know, final lap collection cars that, you know, definitely feel more nostalgic than like Japeth and Jay Schuster or Michael Sparkper, who saw their first releases in 2016. It was 2016. I think I might have misspoke in the Donna Pitts video and said 2015. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. Really appreciate all your support. I'll see you guys soon for another video. Bye now.